Ariel Chilcutt. Every 9 minutes, Child Protective Services finds evidence of child sexual abuse. 1 in 9 girls will experience sexual abuse at the hands of an adult and are about 3 times more likely to experience a major depressive episode as adults. The National Sexual Violence Resource Center reports that 1 in 5 women are sexually assaulted while in college. When we read these numbers, we're often jaded to their meaning. It's difficult to make the transition from numbers to human beings. And that's why I will share my experiences with you to prove why these numbers are not enough and why we as survivors must share our stories. Some of my earliest memories are experiencing sexual abuse at the hands of my godfather. It was confusing and nauseating, terrifying and shameful. I felt that I had done something wrong. I thought maybe if I was careful, if I acted different, it would get the abuse to stop. Maybe if I refused the alcohol he gave me at 7 or 8 years old, he wouldn't do it. But instead, the memory of waking up in the middle of being assaulted is seared into my mind, so I never made that mistake again. In the fall semester of my sophomore year, I was dealing with a major breakup and the fact that my ex was dating again. I was drunk on a Friday night and in tears, so I called a friend to comfort me, and instead he sexually assaulted me. RAINN reports that 7 out of 10 women know the person who sexually assaulted them. The reality of being one of those women is a reality of doubt, of questioning what I could have done differently to avoid the situation. The Saturday morning after, I woke up for Lobster Fest and showered to try and wash off the emotional filth that coated me, and I wondered if what happened last night wasn't a big deal like I told him, then why do I feel the same way I did every time I woke up to find my godfather had raped me again? I wanted to know why, if I had done everything right, if I hadn't gone to a party alone, if I hadn't been alone with a stranger, if I hadn't dressed provocatively, if I hadn't drank so much I was incoherent or blacked out, then why did this happen to me again if I did everything men tell us we're supposed to do? I doubted myself and I questioned whether what I felt in my gut was true. I mean, my friend wouldn't do this to me. He wouldn't try to take advantage of me. And if in the moment I didn't say anything, if I didn't try to stop him until he finally put his hand down my pants, then was it really assault? Was this my fault? Was I broken? Were the things my mother had told me and the names she called me growing up true? In 2008, approximately 55,000 people were officially counted as victims of child emotional abuse. Emotional abuse is difficult to define because it's difficult to prove. However, some of the major behaviors considered to constitute emotional abuse are as follows. Isolating. The adult cuts off the child from normal social experiences, prevents the child from forming friendships, and makes a child believe that he or she is alone in the world. Overpressuring. The adult imposes extreme pressure upon the child to behave in ways that are far beyond the child's capabilities. Rejecting. The caregiver refuses to acknowledge the child's worth or legitimacy of the child's needs. Verbally assaulting. The adult humiliates the child with repeated name-calling, harsh threats, and sarcasm that continually beat down the child's self-esteem. Corrupting. The adult encourages the child to engage in destructive behavior and antisocial behavior, reinforces deviance, impairs the child's ability to behave in socially appropriate ways, and finally, terrorizing. The adult creates a climate of fear, bullies and frightens the child, and makes the child believe that the world is capricious and hostile. The movie Mommy Dearest is one of the most impactful movies I've ever seen and captures in striking accuracy the reality of having an abusive parent. As an aspiring cinematographer, I can appreciate how well crafted the abuser is in the movie. She is depicted as a dark and emotionally unstable character, strongly reminiscent of the woman who raised me. The movie is so well crafted, in fact, that it caused me to break down into loud, shrieking, gut-wrenching sobs as it dredged up the fear and confusion that permeated so many of my memories growing up. The reality of being a survivor of emotional abuse is a doubt that what you've been through is real. Everyone's parents get mad, and everyone's parents are irresponsible at times. Everyone's parents make bad decisions. My life has been so wrought with doubt that what I had been through is valid. Was it fair for me to be angry at my mother that she sent me to my godfather's every week, even though she knew he was molesting me? And should I be angry that she ignored the bruises I came home with from the babysitter or the smell of alcohol that was ever present in their house? Watching the story of Joan Crawford's daughter finally allowed me to come to terms with the truth at nearly 20 years old. If what I had been through was normal, then why did watching the same things happen to a girl on TV horrify me? The parallels between the scenes in the movie were undeniable, bringing up ghosts of memories I wanted to forget, of cleaning the bathroom at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday on my hands and knees until my skin was raw and my lungs burned from the chemicals, fearing what would happen if my mother came home and found an imaginary bit of dirt. Memories of crying myself to sleep after the hours of enduring her shrieking voice and never-ending insults because I didn't color code my closet, or I missed an optional dance class to study for an important test. We use statistics to attempt to convey the enormity of the issues which face our society. Child abuse, neglect, sexual assault, and rape cannot be summed up by numbers. Being a statistic is being reduced to a cold and meaningless number, and while numbers can be impactful, the story behind them can be groundbreaking. A number cannot capture the reality we survivors face. A number cannot capture the desperation of escaping a situation that you're in. A number cannot capture the feeling of dread and despair you get when the financial counselor at your school says, "I've talked to your mother before, and you can't live on campus unless your life is in danger," and I don't think that's what's happening here. Despite what she thought, my life was in danger. My life recovering from the suffering I have faced for years, being told that men can't control themselves, and no one would ever love me if I didn't sit still and let them do whatever they wanted to me. How can I recover from the pain when another relationship fails and you know that it's because you're broken, because you're unlovable, and it's all because of them, because abuse is forever, and no number can capture that feeling. I am not a number, I am a person. My reality is living in a homeless shelter where the staff stole from the poor because my mother spent her money on trinkets rather than rent. My reality is being repeatedly raped by someone I trusted for years, only to be re-victimized by a friend as an adult. And my reality is working my ass off to put myself through college when my mother, who drove me to attempt suicide at nearly 12 years old, threw me out of her house for leaving the dryer door open. My reality is lying in bed, emotionally exhausted, tired of fighting and tired of being brave, knowing that there's a bottle of pills on the windowsill that could let me sleep forever, but I know that no matter what, I cannot break. I am blessed for the experiences that gave me and many others the strength and resilience to bounce back when we get knocked down. And I beg those of you in the audience, with the grotesque weight of recognition sitting in the bottom of your stomach, as my words remind you of your own suffering, share your reality and don't let the numbers speak for you. Thank you.